10 months of war in Gaza. The war in Gaza has waged for almost a year and has claimed thousands of lives, both Palestinian and Israeli. We now want to bring in Elkana Cohen. He's a reservist and the captain of an Israeli elite commando unit. After his time fighting in Gaza himself, he wrote the book, October 7th, The War Against Hamas Through the Eyes of an Israeli Commando Officer. And it will publish on the one-year mark of the start of this war, October 7th, 2024. Now, Elkana, it's really good to see you. Good to have you. Thank you for taking the time this morning.
Thank you, Evelyn. It's a privilege to be here.
Let's start with October 7th. How did you experience that day? And when did you actually know that you would have to go into Gaza?
It's a good question. During October 7th, I slept in my in-laws in their bomb shelter. I know it sounds weird, but in Israel, every house has a bomb shelter. So we slept there. It was a holiday, and my wife woke me up around 5:30. She had a nightmare, and she told me they were chasing by thousands or hundreds of terrorists. And I tried to use my gun, which I usually carry my gun, and I couldn't activate it, and I couldn't use my gun for some reason. I told her, "Don't worry, Shiran, everything will be fine." And then we both went back to sleep. 6:30, I was awake by the siren of the missile, and I realized that we are in a war. Couple of hours later, I ran into my house. I opened my phone, which I rarely do because I'm a religious guy and I'm not using phone during holidays. I call my commander and I tell him what's happened. Is everything fine? And then he tells me that something happening at the south. Prepare yourself, prepare your stuff. And when I'm turning off that phone call, I get in another phone call that one of my friends calling me that me and my wife, we both got called up. My wife, by the way, also served in my unit. This is how I met her. And we both got called up. And then we realized what's going on. We saw all the pictures and we realized that we have to go and fight for our country.
So that was a matter of hours, and that actually gave me a little bit of goosebumps. It was like a nightmare come true since your wife had dreamt about it. So then in a matter of hours, you packed your stuff and you just went into Gaza. What was that like for you when you first entered?
No, so basically what's happened, the first 2 days, the IDF tried to fight inside Israel in order to fight the Hamas. They already invaded into Israel, and just after 3 weeks, we actually went into the Gaza Strip in order to fight. Till then, we were just preparing ourselves and did everything as we could in order to prepare ourselves for the war.
Right, and then walk me through that time. What the training looked like. I know some were actually stationed where the breach happened to fight off, some tanks were stationed there to fight off more terrorists from coming in, and maybe some were sent to the kibbutzes to protect. Where were you and what was that like?
So we had 3 weeks of training, and in that time, we did as much as we could in order to prepare ourselves. We prepared ourselves not just for Gaza. We knew that also Lebanon on the line, so we prepared ourselves to both scenarios. And after 3 weeks, we got the call to go into Gaza and fight for our people. And if I may, can I share one stories or more about that? All right, so a lot of time I hear people protest against the IDF, and for me, I assuming or they just hate us or they don't know what are we doing in order to protect our people, and by the way, protecting the Palestinians themselves from Hamas. Because what I want to tell you is going to shock you. One of the time we were needed to concrete a school zone, which we knew that was full with civilians, but we didn't want to concrete that place as long as those civilians inside the school. So we start calling them all out. No one went out. So we used the drone in order to see why they're not leaving the area. And we saw that the Hamas guard keeping them inside. And one of the kids tried to run away, and that Hamas guard shot him in his head. And later on, one of the Hamas guard went on the rooftop and was holding a baby right in front of us. He would hold it like that because he knew that we won't shoot him, or if we will gonna kill that baby. And of course, behind them was a man with a camera just waiting for us to shoot that little baby. And I'm telling you that because I want people to understand what are we dealing with during that time. And we do as much as we can, but sometimes, unfortunately, the Palestinians themselves don't care about life, and Hamas don't care about their own people, and we need to put our life on the danger because they don't care about their own.
Right, and I'm glad that you mentioned this because that was one of my questions, because it will almost be no way for us to imagine, and we hear about Hamas using human shields, but what exactly that means is hard to fathom. So let's talk about it more. Like I said, it's hard for us to grasp this. How does it feel like to be in Gaza? Paint a picture for us, what you came across and what you were met with from terrorists also in terms of artillery and maybe, you know, the forces that they had there.
So before I'm starting telling how it's to be inside Gaza, I want to tell you a little bit about myself in order for you to understand. I'm a newlywed, expecting father. The last thing I want to do is to participate a war. Unfortunately, when we have to do that, we will do that with many things that we can, and we will protect our people. But when we enter the Gaza Strip, especially looked for people in order to realize that there is some people that looking for peace. But when you're going through their houses, you can see that each houses have multiple pictures. They have bombs under baby beds. And for me, it was a shocking experience because me as expecting father, I would never put any bombs rifle under my future baby. But they do that. This is how they educating their kids. This is how they educating everyone on the Gaza Strip. And unfortunately, I'm really looking for someone to say, hey, I'm against that. But during my time, unfortunately, I didn't saw that.
Yeah, and it sounds incredibly difficult to navigate. Of course, it's, like I said, it's unimaginable, but there are so many people, and it sounds like to some degree that is the worry about those women and the innocent children there. There is a reason to worry. So do you think, as somebody that has fought there, is there a way, or can there be done more?
I think Israel do as much as we can. I don't think any army, even you can't compare any army to us. I don't know which other army noticed the people before that they going to attack some place, that they sending messages to everybody in the area before they're attacking. I think we're doing much more than we need to do, and we're happy to do that because this is how we raise. This is our value as an IDF soldier. This is all of our people thought, and I think that we do as many efforts as we can. So the only thing I hope that the people will understand that and support the IDF, because this is not just Israel fight. When we fight against Hamas, when we fight against all the terror organization, it's the fight of every normal human being who want to fight for living, to fight for freedom. And this is they all against. They shouting death for America. They shouting death for Israel. This is what are they praying for. So I think this is not our only fight. This is United States fight, exactly as it is for us.
So everything it has gotten so big, but what do you think? Can there be peace?
I really wish for peace, but I cannot do peace with someone who wants to kill me. So until they will decide that they don't want to kill us and they fine with our country, I will be more than happy to do peace. But I can't do peace with someone who wants to kill and slaughter our babies, the women, innocent people who came for festival music. This is not the people that you want to do peace with.
Well, Elkana Cohen, I thank you so much for coming on today first. The things you have seen and the courage that you have shown, that's very admirable, and I can't wait for your book to come out on October 7th. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.